want to talk about bee lining. Bee lining is not a method by which you draw bees. It is not a method of beekeeping. What it is a method to track back to a wild hive using bees' tendencies to go in a straight line. This is exploiting the principle that when a bee has filled up on a food source, it will go directly back to its hive, tell others, and bring others to it. There are many methods to exploit this trend. One of them is to simply put out a bait station, which is honey or some sugar water. The bees will find it and then go back to their hive, bring more back, and then you start having a regular line between the bait station and the hive. You notice which way it is, and you continue upstream towards the hive and put out another bait station. Or a second method is you build a box that has 2 or 3 compartments. The first compartment you use to trap bees that you find. So you find a flowering area, you walk over to it, you capture a bee, put it into the first portion of the box, trap another, until you have a dozen or so. And in the second portion of the box, there's usually some honey in that part of the box. And the bees will fill up, and when they are full, then they're willing to leave. In the third portion of the box, you actually lure a single bee from the middle part to the third part, at which point you release the bee and it theoretically flies in a straight line to its hive. Now there's some problems with the bee box, and there's a problem with the bait station, and that number one problem is the bees sometimes get confused where they are, and they fly in a non-direct route the first time. After they know for sure where they are, the second, third, and fourth visits, they're pretty much coming in a straight line. And that is an introduction to bee lining, and I will show you how to do it later in this video. No matter what method you use, you still have to track the bee. That sounds really easy. It's not. If anyone out there has tried to do bee lining, that is where they got hung up, is you lose sight of that darn bee. It's small, it's moving fast, and unless you have near perfect conditions, you can't see where it went to. There are some great papers out there on how to beeline. One of them is put out by a research paper put out for the Catalina Island eradication program. Catalina Island is an island off the coast of California near LA, and they had German black bees, which tend to be a nasty disposition, and they wanted to eradicate them all off the island for some stupid reason. But there's a paper out there explained how they did bee lining. Go ahead and go read that paper. It's a great paper for understanding how bee lining works, but I will essentially boil it down to what the big gotcha is. The gotcha is you put out the bait hive, you put out the bait station, a little bit of honey on a plate, and the bees will find it pretty quickly if it's the right time of year. They'll sniff out honey and they'll find it. When the first bee arrives, he's going to take a while, 2, 3, 5 minutes, and fills up his honey sac. And then he leaves. When he leaves, you're not going to be able to see him. He lifts up from that bait station, and he begins a circular pattern, and he begins a little bit ellipsoidal, and then he takes off in the direction of the hive. When he's doing his circles, if you were too close, you start spinning, looking for where that darn bee is. You'll lose him. What I discovered is you actually need to lie down on the ground 15 feet away from your hive, from your bait station, looking for your bee, at which point it's easier to spot him against a white overcast sky than a blue sunny sky. You want to do this on a non-sunny day. You need that cloud cover to give you contrast between a black dot and a white background instead of a black dot with a very bright, hard to see background. Once you begin to lie down and look up, it's much easier to see which way they're going. And if you realize they're going not over your head and not in your direction, they're going away, you can move over and make an easier time spotting the exact direction. And after you've seen 2 or 3 or 4 going in that direction, you can take your compass and spot precisely which direction they're going and mark it on a map if you're using the triangulation method, or you just pick up your bait station and hike that way 100, 200 yards, as far as you dare go, and then put that station down again. But the trick is to lie down on the ground, have patience, and look carefully for the bee to take off. And it is very time consuming sitting there waiting for that bee to lift off. It can take you hours to do a beeline until you find the hive. It may take you days to find the hive, depending upon how much ground cover you have to go through, how many bushy areas, how many forested areas you have to go through. But generally the hive is going to be within, hopefully, a couple of miles to maybe as much as 3 miles. And that, I hope, sums it up.